Welcome to the first episode of my podcast, Unbelievable, Unavoidable. Join me in the reading of Chapter One, Wraith Slayer, for NOS4A22. Charlie Manx. That's not our worry now, is it? No need to worry anymore about Charlie Manx, the Wraith, or Christmas Land. Although Charlie's spirit of evil infected his little Millie and would continue to haunt her and Wayne McQueen for the rest of their lives, if they let him. How tragic for little Millie Manx for her late father to have permanently destroyed her spirit so traumatically, all when he was supposed to be protecting her. Instead, Charlie created a monster. And who could blame her? After all, little Millie Manx was hungry. You know what she did. However, Wayne McQueen had the good spirit of his mother Victoria to help guide him and Millie, doing her best as a guardian angel mother to positively influence both her son Wayne and his girlfriend Millie as they went along their journey that would become an evolving quest to find their way as this troubled pair of strong creatives. All they had to do in order to succeed in goodness was to remember to let in the spirit of Wayne's mother and keep out the evil spirit of Millie's father, so that they would fight other evil strong creatives and not become them themselves, as they have become Nosferatu themselves. They were dead but not dead, searching for a way to escape the curse that had now befallen them both. Millie was alone now with Wayne, as she called to him to follow her forever. He came willingly. She confessed to him that she did some bad things to the other lost children because she was still under control of her father. She described it as not being herself, like being possessed by the hunger that her father had put in her. Once she broke free, she went further away from that place within her mind, as it tried to cling to her. This was the remnant of her memories of Christmas Land that had become manifested from her strong creative mind. She began to free herself, but not completely free of the vampiric undead curse that had overtaken her all those years ago, keeping her young. They became not dead, but not exactly alive either. Within the new fantasy land they created with their combined minds that proved to be most powerful. There were two powerfully strong creatives. No matter how powerful they were, they could only look in from the cold from the outside now. And there was no more shelter from Christmas Land, and no home of their own. Wayne was lost with her, and they didn't know it was cold anymore. The only thing they felt was hunger. Hunger from the absence of all that mattered. Life. I wonder what that's like, Millie thought to herself as she looked in the big window of the big house that the Christmas carolers stopped by to sing in front of. More than 2 years had passed since Christmas Land was no more, and Millie Manx had become feral. She was a feral child. How sad. She wasn't sad, though. Not just in this particular moment as she stood amongst the crowd of Christmas carolers, but every day she was happy to think of the freedom and the possibilities her future beholds. Well, at least at this point in time. For the first time in her existence, because we cannot up to this point say the word life, she had begun to feel what it was like to be free. Now the time is here. The time had come for Millie Manx. But that was neither here nor there. Nothing mattered if she couldn't get out of the endless white that extended across several plains and spread its blinding cold reflection from the hazy sun over countless snowy hills. Little Millie wasn't so little anymore. Sure, she was still petite, but Millie Manx was becoming too big for her britches in every meaning of the lame old phrase. It was time for her to acquire a new wardrobe. She had come across many dead half-eaten carcasses. Her favorites were the cute little cottontail bunny rabbits. She loved them so much because they reminded her of herself. So she made a coat, or cloak rather. It looked stylish, she thought. She spent many hours during those days figuring out how to sew the pelts together. When the sun would come out, she would point her chin above to the sky. Millie turned with a smile as she tried to spin, but would lose balance every time, and would just fall into the powdery white snow. Wayne always looked at her in a trance. They longed for salvation from this wandering, living death. There began to grow in them, between imagination and longing, a new land of their own making. This land was much larger than the home of Christmasland that they knew. This was more of a civilized and populated city. Civilized to her imagination and perception, anyway. Millie and Wayne had no idea that there were other lands like Christmasland. There was no inkling of an inclination that there might be other realms built by older, much more powerful, strong creatives. In their minds, they were naive to the outside world and lived within their own fantasies, so that they might build their own happiness together, to escape all that had happened to them in their unfortunate life circumstances and nightmarish experiences. In this long journey, that was a quest for freedom to build their own world, they would experience much more evil than what they had known in their lives. With the wisdom they attained and achieved thus far, they would gain much more experience in life, as they would learn so much more than they ever bargained for. The snow was sinking up to their hips as Millie and Wayne walked up a hill to escape the sight of the carolers. The last thing they wanted to do was be caught. Being caught would have meant nothing other than meeting terrible scenarios, they thought. Then, they never would be able to achieve their dreams. When they got to the top of that snow-covered hill, they found some brush, which was a few bushes surrounded by some tall grass covered by icy snow. This was their cuddle haven. Wayne began sifting snow, and Millie looked at him, tilting her head in innocent curiosity. "What are you doing that for?" "I'm going to make a snow cave, like an igloo, but without the bricks." "Oh, let me help!" And Millie jumped right in alongside Wayne to make the foundation of their project. In a good couple of hours, Millie and Wayne had tightly packed walls and made a good, strong dome roof that was a little oddly misshapen, but it actually was a good, completed construction for a small shelter. They had enough various animal furs for insulated walls and a nice floor. When they had finished all they needed to do to get comfortable in there, they exhaustedly lay down together. Millie lay behind Wayne, holding on to him as if he were her teddy bear to snuggle with. This was such a sensation of relief, not just for Millie, who always slept alone without a family's love, but Wayne felt such a comfort he also had never felt before. Neither Millie nor Wayne had been able to rest in such a way. They felt such comfort, such relief. This was joy. They didn't know this feeling or what it was. All they knew was this was different. Their whole lives, they were subjected to the evil of Millie's father, Charlie. Since he was a child, ever since he could remember, Wayne never understood why his whole life he always felt an uncomfortable feeling. This feeling, mixed with the unbearable sense of dread in the back of his subconscious, lingered in his spirit. When Wayne met Millie, he began to understand, because Millie helped him understand where it came from this whole time. Charlie was seeking Wayne out ever since he was born. Charlie himself didn't even know exactly, other than a feeling that a son was born to his archenemy. Charlie Minx's evil spirit just knew telepathically beyond his own conscious mind that Wayne would take his daughter because she would want to be with him. So Wayne fell asleep, and Millie held on to him on top of that snowy hill in their makeshift shelter. They met each other in their dreams, and the place was extraordinarily magnificent. There was a beach that was warm, although it had a mountain-drop landscape surrounding the shore with snow. The land of the beach was met with snow just beyond the tide. When they walked down the hill in that snow, it wasn't cold, but reflected the warmth of the sun. The sun did not burn them, though, but radiated in their spirits a warmth that lit their passionate souls with laughter. They laughed out loud in excitement like children playing without a care in the world. Although they were older now, they were stuck in a childlike state of mind because their innocence had been taken. Charlie may have taken their innocence in many ways, but what this had given them was the unique capability of creating their own world. This is precisely what they did. This place was more than just a dreamscape. This wasn't just a fleeting place within their dreams. This was the beginning of their creation that would help them forget Christmasland. Before they would know it, they wouldn't even catch themselves thinking of that old Christmasland that had clung to them. This was the new world that once they would wake, they would no longer be inside their little snow cave igloo shelter on top of that hill. They would remain in this new place in which they had created from their dreams, because Millie and Wayne were well aware of what they had done. There was a need to continue to build there on what they had done, and they instinctively knew how. When they woke, there was a surprise that perked them up, filling them with an energy they had not remembered feeling ever in their lives. "Can you believe this? I'm so happy, Wayne. We did this. This is our Christmasland." "Don't say that. This is a new place. Our new place." "Okay, yeah. I don't want to think of Christmasland anymore. Please don't say it again. I'm sorry. Let's think of a name for our new place." "Good idea. This is paradise." "What name comes to mind when you think of paradise?" "Millie. Millieland." Ha! Don't be silly. We can't name it Millie Land. Why not? If you don't like it, you can just call it Paradise. I will. So they settled on the name, and it was as simple as the idea and ideas that sent them to arrive there. Paradise. Millie's Paradise. In Wayne's mind, it was Millie Land. Soon after, there was a dark feeling that crept into their minds, as if they had felt the words of Charlie Manx saying La La Land. But they knew they were feeling this only because of the evil spirit that didn't want to leave them, no matter how much they rejected the attachment of this long-dead vampiric leech. This land wasn't their La La Land, no matter how much the evil forces and cosmic powers would like to lead them to believe in order to crush their spirit as it began to grow further away from their influence. Somehow they knew that the spirit of Charlie Manx was implanting fears and doubts to cause them to lie to themselves in order to make them stray away from the path of goodness. These toxic negative thoughts might deteriorate the pure form of their land's construction, and it would then in turn open a gateway to the evil paths, which are seemingly endless. These are the seeds that were inevitable. Inevitably, the seeds of evil are planted, and inevitably they take root to a soil that was always open to all they had once known. Wayne stood next to Millie on that shore, with his feet lapping up the water from the mellow tide. The water caressed his feet, and he looked at the waves drift in and out. Millie looked at her feet as well, then saw Wayne doing the same next to her, and smiled a most satisfying smile as she took it all in, realizing her vision and their dream of paradise was now their manifested reality. All they had learned from Charlie Manx, Millie's twisted evil father, had seemed to never even matter anymore, because Millie realized in that moment that no matter all the horrible things she learned and remembered from her vampiric father, at least she had taken this one good thing away from all those terrible experiences. On the third day of their waking in this new land of paradise, they were visited by Vic, Wayne's mother. Her spirit was alive and well in Wayne's heart, and so he had manifested her spirit in this land as she called to him. Her spirit came out of the sun on that third day as they stood each morning after waking to see the sunrise. She appeared as an angel from heaven, and instead of using words, she gave a telepathic feeling to them without opening her mouth. When she gave Millie and Wayne these shared feelings that became words, they learned many things to strengthen their spirits. Vic taught them that they must resist any and all thoughts that felt bad, because these feelings would be the gateway to evil entering their lives that would manifest into physical gateways for people like Charlie, only much worse. Vic McQueen was not yet ready to tell them more, because this was not yet the time, but she knew that some things to come were being manifested. Every chance she got, she had to warn Millie and her son Wayne. In those first moments, she had to be their guardian, teaching them all they needed to know to overcome this evil that was coming for them. In that first manifestation meeting, she poured from the sun like honey, and her spirit became visible as the rays of the sun glistened from her face. Her spirit body was beautiful and pure. She first appeared large and golden, just as the brilliance of the sun, but became more of a humanistic size once her spirit became more manifested in front of them. Millie and Wayne were being cleansed of all of the evil that had infected them. Their teeth became white again, and no longer jagged instruments of death. Their skin began to shine with radiance, instead of the pale death that had clinged to their damaged souls. Their hair even shone brighter and looked more full, instead of the dullness that had tarnished their lives, yet kept them in their young bodies. This meant that they had created a world in which they could grow, without that life they once knew being sucked out of them by that evil leech that was Charlie Banks. Wayne, I need you to know one thing. You are more powerful than all the evil that is out there. Millie too. You just have to keep doing what you're doing. Stay together and don't give up. Don't doubt yourself. Neither of you. Don't doubt yourselves. The spirit of Vic soothed her son and his companion. I can't believe I get to see you again, Mom. I'm so happy. Wayne gave a response that was as if he wasn't paying attention because he was overjoyed. Did you hear what I said? Vic exhausted her spirit. Yes, I won't forget, I promise. I could never forget this. I won't let him forget, Miss McQueen, don't worry. Millie comforted the spirit of Wayne's mother with soothing words of blessed reassurance. I feel that, Millie. Thank you. I'll be here to visit you every chance I get. I'll be here to help guide and protect you, to renew your strength, and to help you focus when things seem too dark. Vic spoke as an angel to her son. Then as her words ended, so did the visual of her spirit. Wayne and Millie had words in their mouths that were just about to come out, but seeing the spirit of Vic disappear made them swallow their breath as they held in the air tightly within their lungs. They held in their breath as they soaked in and absorbed the experience, taking it all in best as they could. They knew this was real and not some fantastical dream. This experience felt more real than the outside world everyone else knows to be reality. This is also how their new world they created felt. The shredding of the fabrics of reality made room for them within this cubbyhole as they forged their own land. Imagination was so strong within them because of their will, need, and desire to escape the fate of the hand they had been dealt in life. Millie and Wayne could not and would not accept how the dice rolled in their situation. Sheer determination brought them to this new land. Millie took what she learned from her vampiric father and used the knowledge of the black arts for good. In the background of their peaceful new home, behind the mountains, as well as back beyond the slow-rolling waves of the sea, there was a bellowing, gurgling undertone of minimalistic fuzz that was reminiscent of the fuzz of the old bridge. Millie and Wayne knew nothing of this yet. Soon enough, they would learn what this whispering wind was all about, that in which they passed off without care as the natural sounds of the atmosphere. This was anything but natural, and was in fact the cause and effect of their manipulation on reality. Between the ocean and over the mountains, there was a good way and a bad way to exit their paradise, to enter the outside world. Some things had yet to happen before there would even be an introduction to these mysteries. While evil plotted against them in indirect ways, These vampiric leeches brought more direct detrimental hazards towards Millie and Wayne. The oldest, more dangerous, strong creatives in the world were sensing the power of who and what threatened their plans. The next time Vic would come to visit in their land of paradise, there would be more distinct details of these evil ones. Time was not on their side. Yet in these moments when Millie and Wayne had first begun to build on their new world, to them time was of no concern to them. It was good that they escaped worry in these critical moments to build upon their world and their love, to know what love and compassion meant, developing empathy.